Hello. Hello, everybody. Please ask your questions here. So this is another impromptu live stream, which is the way I like to do them. But I know it's probably not the most efficient way. So I apologize about that. But I also look forward to hearing from you that join impromptu as well. And feel free, as always, to ask any questions, get involved. Let me know how you're doing, where you are, what you want to talk about. But today, the focus of this live stream is going to be overcoming social anxiety in all its many forms and from all its many causes. And this sort of goes back, we're going to come back to this. This goes back to a client that I've been talking to, and particularly that I was talking to yesterday. We had a couple of different issues. The first one of which is, my client said to me, he said, Sam, I've been dating this girl. I've been on a couple of dates with her. She's really beautiful. She's really attractive. And it's like the third date now that we're going to go on. And I'm really nervous and I don't know why. Like, I've been doing a lot of positive self-talk. I've been doing a lot of self-development stuff to try and overcome this anxiety, to try and get myself to a mindset where I no longer feel anxious about going on this date. He has social anxiety, even though he's seen this girl before, and maybe some of you guys can relate to it. Usually that's not the case, right? Usually the anxiety comes before we've potentially, slept or dated the girl for the first time. His is coming afterwards, right? And at the same time, he's got this anxiety about seeing the girl he likes. He went out yesterday or the day before and did 4 or 5 approaches and they went badly. And he said he felt his anxiety again approaching. So he's got these different forms of anxiety coming in, and he's looking in the mirror and giving himself advice and doing positive affirmations and meditating and doing all of this stuff to try and deal with it, to try and push the anxiety away. But this is part of the problem. This is part of the problem. There's a matrix of anxiety. Hi, Hamza. There's a matrix of anxiety, and this is the problem. The anxiety doesn't exist outside of a context. It's not just, there's this anxiety here, and I've got to push it away. The anxiety exists within the context that you've created for it. It exists in the environment of your life, in the context of your life. And so what many times happens is someone notices their anxiety. They notice the sense of anxiety. And then they set up this labyrinth, this matrix around it. Like, my anxiety's here. Now I need to get rid of it. I need to push it away. I need to overcome it. I need to do my positive affirmations, push my anxiety away. And it becomes this mentally, I don't want to say retarding, because that's a dodgy word to use these days, but I would like to use that word because it seems like the right one. It's like a mentally retarding in its true sense, meaning paralyzing or slowing down. It's a mentally retarding matrix. So you've got this anxiety and you build these systems to overcome it. But what's your mind constantly coming back to is the anxiety, and more specifically to push away that anxiety, to get rid of it. Right? And so I look at this as the exact inverse of that flow state, right? But there's some similarity. So look at this. So on the one hand, you've got this anxiety, and you can set up your systems to overcome it. You can try and force it away with positive affirmations. You can think about it. You sort of, really perseverate on this anxiety. And in the same way, let's look at the other side. When you find a flow state where you feel pure energy, pure confidence, you can try and cling onto it and say, how do I keep this here? What systems can I make to create this again, to recreate this, to extend this, to prolong this? And in both cases, it is the reaching, it is the forcing, it is the pulling, that sense of straining in some sense, that is in both cases. In the first case with the anxiety, going to prolong the anxiety, going to strengthen the environment, the matrix, the labyrinth in which that anxiety exists. And in the case of the flow state, the minute you try and hang on to it, it goes. The second you say, I recognize this state and I do not want this to go. This feels amazing. I want this to stay. It disappears. It starts to evaporate. And so what do you think the solution then is when we see this on both sides of the coin, both with the anxiety and with the positivity of a flow state, which is sort of the inverse, right? Flow state is almost a complete sense of presence, almost a complete lack of anxiety. Just a pure feeling of competence, confidence, and energy. And that anxiety is almost the opposite. It's complete mental paralysis. Well, in both cases, it is to completely accept the state in which you exist, right? No forcing, no pulling, no dragging yourself towards that state. Totally accepting the state as it is right now, and recognizing also the transient nature of it, that it is here now and it will not always be here. And in the length that you've got, of your life, this is a moment that will inevitably pass. And so the question to ask yourself then is, when you experience that anxiety, that moment of anxiety before a date or before approach, is to say the following to yourself. Can I accept the state I'm in now? Am I able to accept the state I'm in now? And in the moment that you ask that question, you accept the state. Because the action of asking yourself, can I accept what is happening right now, is the moment of acceptance. So, with my client, he said, this rarely happens to me. I don't know what's going on. I feel anxious that I'm feeling anxious to go and meet a girl that I've already been with. What's going on? Why can't I just relax? How do I get over this? And I asked him simply, can you accept the anxious state that you feel right now and go on that date with her? And the answer inevitably was yes. What that requires is a recognition of the physical manifestation that the emotional state of anxiety accompanies. There is an emotional state of anxiety, and that emotional state, or the sense that there's that emotional state, really is manifesting itself physically as a pattern of energy somewhere in your body, right? Maybe in the chest, maybe in a warm pressure in the hands or a sweating in the hands, maybe in that sense where your voice is in your throat and not in your belly. There are many physical manifestations of emotional states. When we feel an emotional state, to pay attention to the physical manifestation is the way that we accept it. So in this case, I'm going on a date tonight. I feel anxious about it. What if I mess it up? What if I fall off my chair? What if my card doesn't work? What if she doesn't like me and she raises her eyebrows and thinks I'm weird? Can I accept this state? Can I accept the feeling of anxiety that I have right now and still move on to the date? Right? And what do you think accompanies you now when you accept the anxiety and you move on to the date and you go and do that action? Let's say cold approach. A lot of you, this would be relevant. You feel this state of anxiety, total paralysis, total anxiety. Ask yourself, can I accept this state of anxiety and still move in that direction and still move towards that woman? And the answer is yes. You will recognize the physical pattern in your body and you will say, yes, I can carry this emotional state. I can carry these physical manifestations of this emotional state towards that woman. And when you do, what will accompany you is gentle curiosity. And what I mean by gentle curiosity is a sense that now that I've accepted my anxiety and I'm not trying to be more confident, I'm not trying to overcome my anxiety, I'm accepting that it's here and I'm not trying to push it away, the curiosity comes because you start to say, well, now all there is to observe this state and see what happens. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if I am going to do something silly. Let's see. Let's find out. And the state of anxiety becomes its own inquiry. It becomes its own sort of exploration of what can happen in the next moments when you go and do that approach on that or go on that date. The 2 points that I always say are important are to anybody learning. I mean, virtually anything, but in this case, let's apply this perfectly to the act of social skills and improving your social life, having the social life that you want. These two things are important. Consistent action and active learning. Consistent action, continuing to take the steps you need to take the physical actions, but those physical actions without active learning. And what I mean by active learning is your attention on the process of learning. So instead of this sort of, what happens is we go up and we talk to someone and they give us a weird response. We say, what did I do wrong? What did I get wrong? What is my energy weird? What's going on? And we have the sense that it's all personal. But could we not instead have the active learning mindset of, interesting, she responded badly. I wonder if there was something that happened that caused her to do that, or if that was something that was outside of my control. And we take ourselves, this sense of identity, out of the question, and we look at ourselves in the same way that we're looking at her and at the situation, as two objects, right? You're the subject watching from up high, like it's some sort of virtual reality or some sort of video game. Attach yourself emotionally from the outcomes. Detach yourself emotionally from the sense that she is responding to you, and your self-worth and your identity is wrapped up in this. And instead step back and look at this as a situation, not your situation, as a situation. I wonder if there was something that could have happened there, that could have been said, that would have improved, changed, influenced that interaction in the direction that I wanted it to go. I wonder if that can be brought into my next interactions, right? Keep taking the same steps. Keep taking the same steps. Keep moving forwards. Keep approaching, if that's what you're focusing on. And recognize where there are things that you can change and improve. Recognize whether you can improve them, they're in your control or not. And then learn, actively learn, and do it differently the next time. And don't let yourself identify with the one who is rejected. You are just observing the various responses that can happen. So I want to open this up to you guys. So please ask any questions. If you're watching this live, please hashtag live. If you're watching this on the replay, please hashtag replay. It helps a lot of other guys find it. It helps visibility. So I'd really appreciate that. And yeah, please ask any questions on this topic or anything you'd like me to go into further detail on. Let's go. Hot steamy. What's your opinion of AD use for anxiety? It has a stigma, in my opinion. Do you think it's a condition that is perhaps embedded in our DNA that medicine is best used for? AD. Hot steamy, could you give me a little bit more context? I mean, I don't know what AD is. Attention deficit? Adrenaline? I don't know. Tell me what AD is, and is it a condition that is perhaps embedded? I don't understand the question, man. Thanks, Hamza. It's always good to see you here, man. And let me know, guys, if you're in London. I'm coming back to London on somewhere between June the 17th and June the 21st. I've got clients on the 23rd, 24th, and early July. But if you are in London and you want to get in touch, you want to meet up for a coffee or something, have a little conversation, let me know. If you want to get out there and come with me and actually get approaching in London when everything really opens up, I see it's fairly open now, then please just get in touch with me. I mean, I've put my Calendly link in the description, so you can book your free 30-minute call there. But just get in touch. I know a lot of people want to and don't. So, antidepressants. So do get in touch. Antidepressants. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's not really my area. I don't really want to comment on that because I don't know much about it. But my intuition is that there are some cases in which they are preventing people from taking their own lives. And there are some cases where if someone is getting up, going straight on their phone or computer, not eating healthy, not doing anything, having no order in their life, having no routine, having no great social connections, and they're taking antidepressants, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, try at least to order your life in some way before doing it. But I probably suspect that in some cases, antidepressants are helpful, and in most cases, they're just being used in place of systems that might improve that person's life in a more organic way. What's a good way to reduce anxiety for sales calls? Why are you asking me about sales calls, man? Like, I've got this specialty. I've been doing this for 7 years, helping people with like social skills and dating and things like this. I always find it funny when people ask me about stuff where there's like other people who've been specializing in this their whole lives. But I mean, I'm happy to answer the question. I just find it funny. What's a good way to reduce anxiety for sales calls? The same way, man. You just have your systems. It's exactly the same as social skills. You have your systems and you accept whatever state you're in. So, so I would look at it this way, right? If you're about to take a sales call, you meditate, you sit up straight. Like, even for these, I use a cushion to support my back so that I'm sitting up straight, because I know that your posture massively affects your ability to breathe. Your ability to breathe affects your mental state, your calmness of mind. So if I'm doing a sales call, I want a clear desk. I want my notes in front of me. I want like a nice environment. And then if I'm feeling anxious or buzzy, I remember that if I'm quiet, the other person's always going to talk, right? And so for sales calls, generally, I don't say much. I just let the other person talk, because through speaking, they are almost telling you what they want from a service, right? So if you're on a sales call, you're trying to sell something, let the other person talk, right? Stay quiet, because that quietness will give them this sense that they should speak. And in their speaking, they tell you everything you need to know about what they want from you. And then you can say, yes, I can give that to you. And then there's very little sales process needed. So just, I guess for sales calls on either end, whether you're being sold to or whether you're selling, giving the other person the impetus to speak is usually the best way, because you want that sort of information asymmetry where you sort of know more about them than they do about you. That gives you an advantage in a sales world. But for me, I generally don't have anxiety for a sales call, because I don't treat my initial calls like a sales call. I like to offer something for nothing to everybody. And if somebody gets what they wanted from the initial 30-minute call and they don't feel like they want anything more, then I feel happy that I've been able to offer something. So I don't really think too much about sales. I just think about finding a solution to a problem, right? If that requires a sale, then we make a sale. If it doesn't, then we don't. Hello, hey Sam Elbowcroft. I don't understand. How's food in Brazil, by the way? Andrew Haberman suggests that food controls our emotions. Right. Food in Brazil is varied. I was just in Minas Gerais on the northeast coast of Brazil. No, it's not. It's in the center of Brazil, actually. And the food was exceptionally good. It was really good food. It's a mining state where they mined a lot of gold as Brazil has been colonized by the Portuguese. And the food there is all based around like the local ingredients that they had to feed the miners. And so they've developed their own cuisine, and it's incredible. The food in Rio is, I would say, probably on a global standard, pretty good. On a European standard, pretty poor. You can find good food here, but in general, the quality and the sort of security is not that high, right? You never quite know where it's come from or what it's going to be like. It's a bit hit and miss, but you can find really healthy food shops and find healthy, get cheap meals. So that's cool. I don't know who Andrew Berman is, but if it's you, then good marketing ploy. Great advice. Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, Cindy. So any other questions, guys? Shoot them my way. Like specifically questions about your situation, right? You're all anonymous here, so there's nothing to hide. So your situation with regard to your social life, with regard to dating and social life, where do you want to get to, right? I mean, this can be coaching for you if you've got a good question. So please, if you've got any topic-specific questions, just ask me now. What do you need help with? What are you looking for? I always say it's important to focus on the tangible goals that we have for our social life and not being better with women, because being better with women is a moving target. It doesn't really mean anything. Some women are attracted to some men some of the time. So being better with women is just a sort of, it sounds like a nice idea, but the reality doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist in the way that you're seeing it. That version of you that you're looking at, it's never quite like that. And in focusing on tangible goals, tangible targets, I want to have a better friendship circle. I want to have 5 or 6 guy friends who I love like brothers, and we go out and go to social events together, and they're all good with, they're all like socially fine, and they all have their own goals, and we all have fun together. And then I want to be dating 2 girls per week roughly, and these types of girls. And then you start to build a picture of what your life looks like without focusing so much on this idea that you're going to change as a person. And what happens there is that you are required to change as a person as you approach these targets. As you date 1 or 2 new women a week, it requires that you adapt and evolve as a person. And so that evolution happens in the shadows. It doesn't happen in the daylight. It doesn't happen as you're thinking about it. It happens as you're focusing on the future, looking ahead to your targets. You will find that you evolve as you move in that direction. So I think it's a more effective way of looking at the process of like goal setting, right? To look at tangible things rather than getting wrapped up in identity. All of this self-focus. Self-development's a double-edged sword. It's like, on the one hand, a lot of the practices work in calming you down and making you better and making you feel better. On the other hand, people start to get so focused on themselves that they actually lose that sense of freedom and charisma. Charismatic people are not worried about what other people are thinking of them. And sometimes you can go too far into this like self-focus where you go out into a group and you're just thinking about yourself, like how are they thinking about me? Am I present enough? Am I this? Am I that? It's like, no, if you're in a group setting and you want to avoid anxiety, focus on the other people, learn about them, focus on them. That's what a charismatic person does. He's just like, doesn't give a fuck what people think about him. He's just focused on other people. Someone says something funny, he laughs and adds to it. He's not worried about what other people think about them. And so your anxiety is coming from your self-centeredness, meaning that you're putting the center of focus on yourself rather than on other people. So self-development is a double-edged sword to the extent that the practices work, but the philosophy often is a dead end, because you're always stuck in this self-focus rather than focusing on what's around you, what's going on around you, the people around you, the moment around you. So yeah, you've just got to be careful. He's a neuroscientist from Stanford. Saw his podcast on Max Friedman. Cool, man. I want to move in more successful circles. Right, Cindy, so how do you think you're going to do that? How do you plan on getting into these circles? How do you plan on moving your way into more interesting social circles? Psycho-cybernetics talks about the goal you want and how one moves like a cruise missile, sometimes zigzagging, but always heading towards the goal. Yeah, I read some of that book a while ago. I thought it was really good as well. I just think goals are an interesting thing because, I used to have real difficulty with goals because I was thinking like, what's your purpose, right? What's your goal? I don't know. I don't know what I want. God, I have to decide what I want from my life right now. I have no idea what I want from my life, right? Seems like this really deep question of like, what do you want to do with your life? But the beautiful thing about goal setting is that your goals are right on the surface, right? They're right there. You don't have to search for them. It doesn't have to be an internal process. Your goals are right on the surface. Sometimes it's just like, what do I think would be cool right now? What would be fun right now? Oh, it'd be nice to date this type of girl, right? It'd be nice to be hitting like 10,000 views on a live stream, right? And why? I don't know, it would just be nice. And that's okay, right? Because what happens is once you start moving in that direction that seems quite nice, all of the other directions are going to reveal themselves. But just like a baby in a school, like a child goes to a nursery and the teacher says, so which one do you want to study? Maths, physics, music, or art? The child's like, I don't fucking know what these are, so I don't know. But if they start moving in one direction, they give maths a go and they realize, oh, that's okay, but I think I'm going to move over here. Music, that's cool, but I don't really feel that attached to it. And as they start moving, they start finding the direction. It's the same way with goals. Start with anything and move toward it. And the direction that you're going to need to move in will reveal itself as you move in one direction. But as you stay still and don't move, you will not know what to do. So don't get stuck on planning this. Don't get stuck on, what do I really want from my life? What is the one thing I want? Again, it's going to be a moving target, right? Move in one direction, your goals will change. Move in another direction. The key is to move in that direction. One of my friends has like the North Star tattooed on his body to always remind him to just be following whatever it is at the time that's pulling him. Whatever his intuition, whatever direction his intuition is pulling him in, whatever it is he wants at that time, allow yourself to be guided in that direction, but don't stop following it, right? Don't stop following that goal, whatever it is. Love your stuff, man. Your channel deserves to be way bigger. It actually doesn't deserve to be way bigger. I really appreciate that, man. But I disagree. I don't think it does deserve to be way bigger. I think results are a lagging measure of process. And so if I'd done this channel in the right way up until this point, barring the last couple of months, because it's a lagging measure, then it would be bigger. The fact that it's not bigger means that I haven't done something right up until now. So I'm fairly satisfied with where the channel is, because if I had been doing what was required for it to be way bigger, then it would be way bigger. So I'm fairly sort of logical about the way I see that, but I really appreciate it, man. And it will be bigger in the future and better and more frequent and more interesting. So yeah, I look forward to those of you that come with me on that journey. Any more questions on social anxiety, guys? I always like to do a sort of 10-minute introduction to the topic at the start, so that for those of you that really like these sort of nuanced, philosophical, information-based videos, like of a topic that I've been exploring or a thought that I've been digging into, I can give you that overview there. And then I open the video up to any questions that you guys have. I open it up to any thoughts, any comments, any questions. So any more thoughts on that for anybody that's interested in that topic? For those of you that were commenting before, please feel free to come back to this idea of social anxiety or develop that idea in any way that you see fit. We get exactly what we deserve, don't we? Good and bad. Yeah, it's a really tough one, that, man. Do we get exactly what we deserve? I mean, there's some things, there's some events that happen, a sudden death, cancer, things like that. I'm not sure that anybody deserves that. So I think this topic is nuanced of we get exactly what we deserve, but certainly in non-exceptional cases, results are a lagging measure of process. And so if you've put the right systems and processes in place, you will have the results that those warrant after a lagging time. So the same with women, right? This is why we look at the compound effect with regard to dating and cold approach. It's like you can go out the first week and do 10 approaches, right? And think, God damn, I did 10 approaches, got one number, got no responses, right? The next week you do 15, get 2 numbers, get 1 response, right? The next week you do 20. What's happening is that the third week, you're not starting from scratch. It's not like the first week's wasted. No, that number might come through on the third week. And those 2 numbers might come through on the 4th week, right? So what happens often is we go out, we get started a couple of weeks, let's even say a couple of months, right? In some cases. And we're like, well, this just isn't working. This is so difficult. And what people don't realize is the next month, it's going to be exponentially higher, even if just a little bit at this stage, because there's so little options. The next month, exponentially higher. And each week, you've got the new contacts that you've met, the new things that you've learned, plus the old ones. You're not starting from scratch. Our mindset is to generally think that we're starting from scratch every time we go out again. But we're not. We're building on what we had before. We might even see the same people and develop our relationship. And this mindset of that you've set a foundation and now you're building upon that foundation and you're exponentially improving with each new week and with each new day that you're going out, that's important to carry with us throughout the process. I think that introvert or shy guys can start by approaching indirect rather than direct. That will help them. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think that for the majority of men, it's important to even think about whether their approach is direct or indirect. It should be like, okay, I am starting out on a journey and this mindset is important. I'm curious to learn about this person. I'm curious to learn about this person, and I am going to feel a variety of emotions, and let me move through those emotions. Let me take action carrying with me those emotions as I accept them. And if he can say, right, I'm going to feel nervous and I'm going to feel confident at times. I'm going to feel really bad and I'm going to feel really good. My emotions will fluctuate as they always do. And I'm gonna move with those emotions rather than allow them to paralyze me. Firstly, that. Secondly, I am genuinely curious to learn about these people, right? This is my social garden. This world out here is my adult's playground. I'm not getting from A to B when I'm walking around. I'm here. I'm literally here right now. And there are opportunities around me and they're hiding. Right? Let me find them. Let me see this as an exciting adventure when I leave the house, as opposed to the pathway to getting from A to B for some event. This is it. You're out here. You're in the world. And if you can carry those 2 mindsets, I think you need not think about whether you're approaching directly or indirectly. It's like, why don't you see if there is some context that will allow you to speak to this individual? Is she with a dog? Is she wearing like a purple skirt with matching glasses? Is she about to trip over a crooked stone as she's on the phone? Why would you not pay attention to her and her context and instead be thinking, shall I approach with a compliment saying that she looks very pretty, or shall I ask her the time? It's like, don't say either of those things, because they're general, they're not specific. And the whole point is that you're trying to learn about people. And if you're trying to learn about them, then the more specific it can be, the more spontaneous it can be, the more observational it can be, the more situational it can be, the better the approach is. And when it's not situational, what is situational? You're like, hello, hi, how are you doing? Right? With 0 context. Yeah, works as well. Why? Because it's not direct or indirect. It's like, it's outside of identifying with the industry of cold approach. And it's just normal human approaching, well, I suppose not normal in the sense that average, because not many people can do it. So exceptional human speaking in non-expectant way to other human. And that is, for me, the beauty of it. And during that interaction, you may find her attractive, and you may begin to find her increasingly sexually attractive, and then telegraphing that attraction without sexual aggressiveness, telegraphing that you're attracted to her by tapping into that emotion and tapping into that feeling. which is telegraphing it, right? If you're feeling sexually attracted, there are so many things that are happening. For one, you move your hips forwards, right? And women calculate this. If you're attracted to a girl and you're talking to her and you start to feel comfortable, you'll just push your hips towards her, right? You literally push your groin in her direction. You will start, your pupils will start to widen, right? A number of things will happen that will telegraph it to her. Guys think they need to say a lot of stuff to telegraph their sexual desire. Sometimes saying something, right, giving some verbal cue of your attraction can be helpful because it shows that you are confident and experienced enough to say it, right, and that you're not trying to hide it. But if you allow yourself to merely feel it whilst you're speaking with her, you will also be telegraphing it through your body language, through the way that you're acting, through the way that you're behaving. So just tap into that. But we've gone on a tangent. We've gone on a fun tangent. To finalize this point, for guys that are shy guys and new to approaching introverted, I think you should focus on the mindset, right? You should meditate before you go out because it helps a lot to maintain like presence through these emotional states. And as you go out, you should see the world as your social playground. You should recognize consciously that you're going to move through your various emotions, and you should tell yourself that you're going to carry your physical body with those emotions into interactions. And you should keep this mindset of curiosity to learn about other individuals, and to have new experiences. Questions. So me and my best mate been friends for around 12 or 13 years. I'm 26. We had a major argument and now he wants to end our friendship. Have given an answer but slightly confused now. Have given an answer? Don't understand, man. Have given an answer? Basically, I'm going to take the first part of that. You and your best friend had a major argument and now he wants to end our friendship. Have given an answer but slightly confused. What do you want? I mean, is he still your best friend? Would he, if you were in trouble, would he come and rescue you? Would he help? Would he fight for you? Would he take a bullet for you? Has he had your back in the past? Does he stand up for you when other people are bitching about you behind your back? Do you feel like there is an exchange in the relationship where you are a better person for being around him? Do you feel supported even when he's not there, knowing that he exists in your world? And if the answer to those questions is yes, then you won't lose that relationship if you recognize that the answer is yes. Because the reason why he is willing to end your friendship is because he feels like you no longer appreciate him. If someone feels like they're doing something for us, or that we don't appreciate them in some way, that we don't feel grateful that they're here in our lives, that we don't feel like we don't recognize that they can help us in ways and that we owe them for that, right? We owe each other in a good friendship. We owe each other. We should be grateful for each other. If he doesn't think that you are grateful for him, then he can end the friendship. If you let him know that he's helping you, right? Not that you need him in the I need you attachment way, but that you need him in your life, that you have a sense that he is giving you something that you can't give to yourself, that you're grateful for, right? He's helping you. We need to be able to accept help in certain ways, right? From others, and the feeling that we can help other people and that they truly appreciate it is what ties us together and bonds us. So the first part of that was figure out whether you value the friendship truly and then decide from there. How do you approach commitment with women? I struggle with honesty about non-monogamy. How do you approach commitment with women? Don't really at the moment intend to be in a committed relationship because it doesn't offer me any benefit that I'm not currently getting, right? If I were to just say to a girl that I'm seeing, you know what, let's be in a committed non-monogamous relationship, that at this stage in my life would seem to me like an enormous sacrifice for a tiny reward, right? I've had too many experiences with non-monogamous, non-committed relationships where I've truly loved and appreciated the other person. And we've had amazing experiences, been open, vulnerable, and honest with each other, and not needed to the other person to be sexually confined, right? That's what I see it, right? That's how I see it. I think it was Gandhi that said, if you see a beautiful flower, don't pick it, because if you pick it, it dies. If you see a beautiful flower, instead, leave it, right? And the idea is that as soon as you try and cling on to something, just like we were talking to with the flow state, the anxiety before, as soon as you're trying to cling on to something, the actual purity of that emotion dies, to me. And so for me, not feeling comfortable, wanting to meet new women and have new experiences, the idea of commitment just seems like we're trying to, or we're restricting each other in ways that I don't see the benefit of, right? I just do not see the benefit when you can have amazing non-committed relationships, or, well, not relationships in the conventional sense, but a relationship in the general sense. We all have relationship. I have a relationship with all of you guys. You guys have a relationship with me. When that needs to be committed, or if you feel that needs to be committed, and you're willing to make that sacrifice of your sexual liberty, the options that you have, or the opportunities that you have, because one woman stands out so much that you want her more than any of these women, and you accept that sacrifice and you honor that sacrifice, then all power to you. If that is not the case, and you're doing it for lack of options, then the issue is the lack of options. And to me, that's what you should be changing. Men, it's not easy for beginners, but it's so freeing once you can do it. Word. Most attractive thing, self-confidence, do you think? Yeah, probably, man. I think it's really high up there, right? It's really, really high up there. It's just very difficult to pin it down because, you have so many different variants of confidence. You have you could have someone like, let's look at an example that I'm thinking about, Lil Peep, a rapper who died a couple of years ago, took an overdose on a bus. On the surface, seems like the most self-confident person in the world. Charismatic, face tattoos, piercings, rock star rapper. So he seems like the paradigm at the top, what's the word? Paradigm's not the right word. Paragon? Is it paragon? Someone correct me if I'm using these words wrong. I think it's paragon of confidence, like the top of confidence, everything, all that he could want. Rock star, selling out shows. But then behind closed doors and with his girlfriend, he was saying, I don't want people to look at me when I go out on the street. And he was deeply unhappy with himself and his life, and to the point where he overdosed, right? Deeply insecure. So it's like, is he confident or is he not? On the one hand, he is. He can go out there to a sold out show and have everyone falling in love with him. He can talk to the camera, charisma, charm, but deeply insecure. So I think there's two levels of confidence. And when we were talking about anxiety earlier, we said, when you feel that anxiety, can you accept it? Can you say, I'm feeling anxious and I accept that, and see that anxiety as a pattern of energy? And if you can do that, are you confident or are you nervous, right? On the one sense, you're nervous because you're feeling the pattern of energy of nervousness. You know you're in a nervous state. But on the other hand, you're accepting that nervousness. So does that not require confidence to be okay with anxiety, right? So the way I see it, and I'm sure in the future this will get deeper, right? And I'll explore this further. But the way I see it at the moment is there's two levels of confidence. There's social confidence, and then there's inner confidence. There's that surface confidence, that sort of instantly charismatic, rock star confidence, like make a joke and make the whole room laugh. But that same person might be secretly hating himself as he says it. So is he self-confident? On the surface, yes, but underneath, no. And if you can have the two levels the confidence of the person that doesn't hold a room in laughter, that doesn't dress in fashionable clothes, but is quietly really happy with himself and the way that he is. That person is confident, right? But if you have those two aligned, where you have this external confidence, where you're like, you've got the fuck it mindset. I'm going to go out there and crack a joke. Let's see what happens, right? I'm going to go and have fun. I'm going to talk loudly. I'm going to have fun. And you're also internally happy with yourself, then you have these two modes of confidence aligned. So I think that's interesting, if not particularly helpful. I don't know if that's helpful, that sort of breakdown, but let me know. Threesomes are overrated. Man, we're peas of a pod there. It can be exciting, but I agree. I think threesomes are overrated as well. I think I generally, in such situations, tend to just prefer one of my two subjects, and therefore just spend more time on them. I think multitasking is more difficult than thing. Multitasking is quite difficult in these situations, unless the two girls, I'm assuming when it's two women, really like each other as well, right? In which case, it's a joy. It's a pleasure to be around. Guys, hit the GD like button. He's in here dropping facts and looking like a Bond villain. Yes, I love the Bond villain comparison. That's always been my goal. Better than Lucius Malfoy. That's an upgrade, so appreciating that. Do you live in the UK? Would really like to meet up in person one day. Yeah, drop me a line, man. I'm coming back to London. I'm going to be in London from June the 21st. So I've put my calendar link in the description. And maybe I can add it here in the comments again. But just book a call with me, man, and we can set up a meeting, and we can talk for 30 minutes for free anyway. So just get in contact through the link that I've just added to the comments, and it should be in the description as well. Makes sense, thanks. I've got options. Challenges when I date, they inevitably want commitment, and it sucks losing great girls, but keeping them coming at too great a cost. Yeah, I understand, man. I understand that is kind of tough. Again, I would just say, like, when you do have that, you've built a relationship with a girl over time, and she starts to want commitment with you. It does suck losing great girls, and I think the way to address that is just sort of with complete honesty about the situation, right? Like, tell them how much you do like them, if you do like them, right? If you really like the girl, more than in just a sort of, oh, she's fun to have sex with. If you really like her, tell her, I really like you, and I would love for this to continue, because I think you're awesome. But I'm not in any position in my life where I want to give my sexual freedom to any one person. I don't want to give up the reins of control of who I choose to sleep with, because I don't believe that it's not important to me, right? That's not something that I even want from you, right? To me, this is something that it's a human emotion that we feel, that we want to control a girl's sexuality, right? We want her to be ours, and the idea of her sleeping with someone else hurts us. For me, the way that I look at this, outside of a committed relationship, is that the problem isn't her sleeping with other people. The problem is your jealousy, right? My jealousy, let's say. And so when I have a position where, I like a girl, but I've decided that we're going to be single, and maybe she's sleeping with someone else as well. She decides to sleep with someone else, and I feel jealous. The solution isn't just to break it up instantly, or to go in a committed relationship with her to resolve the problem of her being with other people. The solution is to manage my emotions. Again, I'm not even entirely convinced of this, but this is how I look at this at the moment. The issue is your irrational emotions and not the actions that are happening themselves. Again, we've evolved from tribal times where the costs were much higher. If you were sleeping with her and you were only in a tribe of 100 to 150 people, and then she goes with someone else, that's one potential mating option gone. Potentially your only mating option in this life is now evaporated as it's taken by another man. Maybe she catches a disease from him and she's no longer fertile. Maybe you catch that disease. There's many reasons why hundreds of thousands of years ago, we would have, we developed these emotions of sexual jealousy. But the stakes are so much lower now that the emotion just hasn't evolved fast enough. Our society has evolved much faster than our evolutionary biology has. And so we still feel irrational emotions like jealousy, where there's actually no need, and the actual situation itself is perfectly fine and acceptable and safe. So I think that that should be a question of us trying to manage our emotions, feeling that jealousy, feeling that sadness, that feeling of loss, that sense of sexual possessiveness, and saying, let me figure this out, right? Let me deal with this. Let me work with this. And for me, I think that's quite a rewarding process. I've got to go in a couple of minutes, guys. So I'm going to answer one more good question, and then I'm going to love you and leave you. Any advice on how to be more naturally engaging with facial expressions, body language, or voice projection, intonation, pitch? It's really tough, man. I mean, that's a huge topic. But embodied cognition means that your emotions also follow your body in the same way that your body follows your emotions. I.e., when you're sad, you have a sad face and a tight body. When you're happy, you have a chest out and you have a smile on your face. In the same way, if you push your chest out, have a smile on your face, you'll start to feel happy. It works both ways. So fix your body language, put your shoulders back, stand up straight. I've got loads of videos on that on my channel. If you type in fluid social body language, and then your emotions will follow. And so you will be more natural and engaging if you fix the physical. Does race play a big part when it comes to dating and depression? Can do, depends where you are in the world, man. Struggle to find a balance between smiling too much and not enough for resting. Yeah, fair enough, man. I wouldn't focus too much on like how you're smiling. Just focus on what you find funny. Like, you're gonna smile if you find something funny. So she says something you find funny, you'll smile. Don't worry about like, am I smiling or is my face straight? What shall I do? It's like, you don't need to worry about that. Just focus on her. Because again, this is too much self-thought, too much focus on yourself and not enough focus on the other person. Brandon, you have the rock star confidence, but not the inner confidence. Yeah. It's a big topic, man. It's a big topic to explore how to gain real inner confidence, but I think it comes just with acceptance is the main thing. Just saying like, can I accept this, right? Whatever emotion I'm feeling, can I accept it, right? Can I let it in? Because when you accept it, it becomes acceptable. It becomes something that once you decide to accept it, it becomes an acceptable thing to feel. So, yeah. You're welcome, man. Fascinating stuff. Thank you. Thanks for the great answers. You guys are welcome. I've enjoyed it. Again, if you're watching live, please hashtag live. If you're watching on a replay, please hashtag replay. It helps me to reach as wide an audience as I can, and to keep, creating this content and to create doing it. So yeah, again, I'm back in London from the 21st of June. Until then, get in contact with me on the Calendly link in the description and in the comments, and we can set up a 30-minute call. Any other questions, Calendly link, let's set up the call, or email me at admin@fluids.social. However, I don't know why you would do that when you can set up a free call for 30 minutes with me there and ask your questions in person, or it can be 5 minutes if you want it to be. So set up the call. And I look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks for showing up. Impromptu. Love it. Love the spontaneity. I'll see you guys. See you guys tomorrow, I guess. Maybe. Let's see. Bye, guys.